Greetings, greetings, wherever you are, and you're hearing me. Let me know if everything is good. Let me know about the audio and everything else. Okay. Last week, while I was doing the live, what happened is that in my country it was actually carnival time, and a lot of people would have migrated from overseas and come back to the country, and so the network was very, 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 very busy. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about it, but the network was very, very, very busy because you have people from all over the world that came in this country for carnival. Okay, it's an annual celebration, and my country normally have one of the best carnival, in the world. Okay, though it's a small country, and that is what make it unique. Okay, so because of carnival, okay, the network was really jammed, and that is why I couldn't, continue with the live, and it was getting bad reception. But some of those people have left and they've gone back, to Canada, America, England, and the other Caribbean islands that they came from for carnival. Okay, so everything is back, functioning, so that I could bring this message to you without any disruption. Okay, today we want to speak about whether you are spiritual, whether you are religious, and whether you are impotent or you're horny. And I'm going to tie these things together and show you what I mean when I speak about you being impotent or you being horny, and how it intertwines with whether you being spiritual or you being religious. Okay, now the very first thing I want you to acknowledge is that every religious sect on this planet is a cult. So all religions and all political parties, they are cults. What do I mean by that? They want to culture you to think and act and believe a certain way. And when you think and act and believe in that certain way, most likely you will become impotent. And what do I mean by that? It means that you should be shutting down your psychological and spiritual self, and you will be only vibrating on the physical realm, the realm of the animals. You see, everything that you have, you can find it in a dog. You can find it in a pig. But what you wouldn't find in a dog or a pig is mind and speech. And as long as they could control your mind and your speech, they will keep you in the realm of just regurgitating what they want you to regurgitate, because they will impress your subconscious mind to think and act a certain way. So that is why I'm asking the question, if you are spiritual or religious, and if you are impotent or horny. Now, the horny feeling is the creative and innovative feeling that is used universally to manifest a child into this world. But very few people understand how the same feeling could be used to bring anything that you desire into this physical three-dimensional realm. And what is the cause of that? having a religious mindset is what shuts that down. So when you become religious and superstitious, it shuts down all of your potential in terms of discovering who you are and how powerful you are. So it blocks you from discovering your true identity. And when you do not know your true identity, you will never know your divinity. But when you are spiritual minded, you will discover your Christ consciousness. Because to become spiritually minded, you have to accept the fact that you're a spirit, which means you're accepting the fact that your true essence is invisible. And once you accept that your true essence is invisible, you will walk from the invisible world to express what you desire in this physical three-dimensional world. Well, when you're religious, it's the other way around. They're having you thinking from outside in instead of from inside out. So you're living an evil life when you are religious because you're living in a backward way. And when you live in that backward way, that is like when you shut down your whole nervous system and your libido is not functioning and you become impotent. Now, the very book that is being used to keep people in religious blindness, if you understand that same book on the psychological level, the metaphysical level, and the esoteric level, then you can use reverse psychology to set you free. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. For example, if you read in the book of Mind Science and you read chapter 5 in the book of love, which is the book of John, John represents love. John is not speaking of a man that existed thousands of years ago. No, it represents love. Okay, so the symbol of John, which represents love, is teaching you in chapter 5 that many people are impotent. So it tells you of a story, but this story is a metaphysical story. This story is a symbolic story. So it tells you many of them, they're halt, they're blind, they're deaf, they're crippled, and they all are lying there by a pool. Well, the pool represents water, and most of your body is water. And water is one of the elements. There's only the element of earth, wind, water, fire, and you, the operator, the spirit, who have to operate the elements. And so, when you're not operating in your element, or being in alignment, you're crippled, you're dumb, you're blind, you're deaf, and you've been kept stagnated at the pool of Bethesda. It is speaking about you living an unproductive life, not knowing who you are, and you're seeking help on the outside. And so all religion have you seeking for help on the outside. All political parties also have you seeking for help outside of yourself. So when they have you seeking for help outside of yourself, they are keeping you in a state of impotence. And so it tells you that a man was there for 38 years being crippled. Well, that 38, if you understand numerology, it is speaking about 11. And if you understand 11, you would realize every time you go through your house door, that's 11 there. Your window is 11. You realize that 11 is the entrance. And 11 is all around you. But most people cannot see it. you will understand also when it talks about the Solomon temple. If you put your two fingers right by this temple and the other temple, you see 11. And even in lodges and secret societies, they're building, have these two poles. Okay, 11. So when they keep you impotent, they're blocking you from entering into the kingdom of possibilities, the kingdom where all things are possible unto you. And that kingdom is the kingdom of your Christ consciousness. So this whole parabolic story about these impotent and crippled people at the pool is a story of you. But only the mystics and those who've been initiated from the spiritual realm into the mystical understanding of these things and how they were put together will understand these things. Okay? And so it tells you that this man couldn't recognize the number 11. He couldn't see the entrance. He couldn't see the way out. And so every time he make an attempt to free himself, someone would beat him to that. Let me simplify that for you. In this world that we are living, there are some people who believe that they cannot come up with a new idea. They can't formulate something of their own because there are people who are not thinking for themselves. And so, for example, I remember sharing this knowledge with a young lady, and she was working in the bank. And I was telling her how much, she could free herself because she wasn't enjoying the job and she was doing a job that she didn't really love that much and so on. And she was saying, well, all I could do, that thing. I asked her, what do you good at? Tell me something that you know that you're very good at. And she was saying, I can really bake cake so good and so on. And she was saying, but there's no money in baking cake and so on. And then when I look around, there is a company that sells cake named Kiss Cake. And they sell in schools, they sell in supermarkets, they sell in shops, they sell all over the place. They have sales van going and carry these cakes and so on. And these cakes only last about 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks there's a new shipment of these cakes, and they're selling all throughout the entire Caribbean. And I want to believe maybe the company must have come from America, but they're more based in Trinidad. Okay? And they sell all of these cakes. So I'm saying, because she's limiting herself and she's not seeing the potential, right there she shut down herself. Okay? And so religion have been put here, are created here by those who wanted to shut down your entire system, your entire nervous system from functioning in alignment with the rest of nature, and that is keeping you impotent. And so you would always see others prospering and others making it in front of you. And so you're blaming others and not blaming yourself. That is why people who have religious mindset, they always blame everyone else. They blame the system for everything. They judge everyone else except judge themselves. They try to change everyone else except trying to change themselves. And that is keeping you in a place of impotence. That is keeping you in a place of stagnation. And anything that stagnates, it stinks, it smells, it gives off an odor that is not nice to the senses. Okay, and remember, inhalation and exhalation is a reflection of your arrival here and your exit here. Okay, you start here with your first breath and you leave here with your last breath. Okay, so they're shutting you down completely through the religious system, through also the fake educational system, and the political system. So unless you discover that you're a spirit and you're having a human experience and you decide to take back your power, you would remain impotent. And that is why you will never see the true power of the horny sexual feeling and how the church system has shut down your sexuality in order to make the pornography industry very lucrative. And the OnlyFans, presently now, the OnlyFans industry very lucrative. So the biggest gangsters you have in this world are the politicians and the preachers. That's why I always have two middle finger, okay, for each one. One promising you a good life while you are here, if you would give them your energy, because they are vampires feeding off your energy by keeping you in ignorance and keeping you in fear. That's how they feast off of your energy. And the next one is promising you a good life after you leave here, if you give him his energy. So one is promising you a good life while you're here, and one is promising you a good life after you leave here. Okay, and they are the two T's that is crucifying your Christ consciousness and keeping you impotent. So it says, this man who was crippled for 38 years, the preachers make you believe that this man was a man who was physically sick. No, it is teaching you what will happen to you when you are psychologically and spiritually sick. Because poverty all around the world is as a result of spiritual warfare, and that spiritual warfare is a disease of the mind. You realize that poverty is a disease of the mind? Many people think about Africa and think about HIV and Ebola and all of these things that they make up in the lab. But the real disease that is destroying Africa and destroying melanated people all around the world is the religious, superstitious mentality that is equal to mental slavery and economic slavery. And that is a disease, is a sickness of the mind, and you need healing. So when you understand the story metaphysically, you realize you need healing. And there's no man who existed 2,000 years ago with blonde hair and blue eyes that are going to come and save you and heal you. No, it is teaching you that when you discover your Christ consciousness and you stop complaining and you start to look within, you start to focus your energy in the right direction. It is teaching you when you discover your mystical self and you realize that you're a mystic, just like I realized that. You can come to the same realization, okay? Because true salvation is self-realization. So it is teaching you that you would get your salvation when you come to that place of recognition whereby you realize cause and effect, that you're the cause of everything that's happening in your life, and you start blaming others and stop looking on the outside. And that is when you would discover your Christ consciousness. That's when you would realize that the greatest lie that has been ever fed to all of humanity is the Jesus and Mary story that has been fed to you as literal and secular history. That story has convinced the world to celebrate the 25th of December every year, with so much people being brainwashed and deceived and not knowing that the real birth takes place within yourself. Many people will celebrate Christmas, buy up the Christmas tree and do all of these things, and not knowing that the real virgin birth is the secret of a man giving birth, because I am speaking from experience. Okay, and that's why I was able to put a book together called The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. And also I have a lecture on Amazon Prime, okay, of the same name, where I did a lecture, invite few people, okay, and I did a lecture there and show them from the Bible, okay, because the Bible is mind science, 100% mind science. So don't get caught up with people telling you about Anunnaki and ancient gods and this and that and so on. Don't bother with them. There's nothing historical that is not of the mind. Don't make no one fool you. I mean to say, I don't want to call him, but definitely have to mention this. Billy Carson is doing a good job, you know what I mean? I'm not going to criticize him and so on, but talking about the Illimalesh and all of those kind of books and giving you historical things, that is you speaking from what other people would have written. That is why intellectuals could never fly where a mystic would fly. And I'm using that symbology to show you that no bird could fly as high as the eagle. Okay. And so he's doing his part. Okay. But when he speak about, the Bible and how the Bible been used, and yet he want to still speak of a historical man that existed and speak about some creator, lying to you. Everything takes place in your consciousness, in your awareness. And how do I know that? I became pure consciousness. I became one with the wind. Some people can dream of themselves flying, which I love to do that. Oh my, I love to fly. But very few would reach to the place where they can appear and disappear. I've done that so many times. I can just vaporize. Men looking for me everywhere and they can't find me. And I could appear and I could disappear. So when I tell you that consciousness is the only reality, believe what I'm saying to you. From since the dawn of time, there have always been men who have been mystics, who have vibrate on a certain level of frequency. Wise men, seers. And so we grew up in a time whereby the Western world was only pointing you to India. Never Africa. Never Africa. Never the melanated man. The Indian man, the Chinese man, all other man, but never the melanated man. But I'm saying to you, when you realize that you've been denying your mystical messengers and you've been going after false gods, looking on the outside, then you would realize those who are bringing historical things to you, they're misleading you. That is why my teachings to you is always believe in yourself, look within, trust your intuition. Okay, teaching you that your mind is your greatest possession. Teaching you that you can channel your ancestors. Just as the cell phone, the television, all of these things, they have channel and they're on certain frequency. And you could go in the past, the present, and the future with showing you that time is just an illusion and so on, right? It's the same thing with your ancestors. So those who are religious and superstitious, they will all be impotent. Okay? And they will never be able to reproduce and replicate, to reflect nature. You see, with the law of attraction and Rhonda Bones and all of these people, and they sold millions or so around the world with the book and the movie, The Secret, and so on. Let me tell you this. It doesn't matter how much money you get in this world. If you never really discover your true identity, you're not free. Especially if you're a melanated person who grew up and in school, they try to make you believe that your ancestry come from slavery. What a foolish thing. Okay? And so, with the law of attraction and all these things and the internet and so on, and with people try to measure themselves based on whether they drive a Lamborghini or they drive a Rolls Royce and so on, and they're always talking about the blessing of the Lord and believe some entity outside give them the blessing. Why is it that all the different people in this world, whatever deity that they believe in, it looks like them? But when it comes to melanated people, the deity that they're calling upon, the deity that been presented to you by T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, Joel Osteen, all these mega preachers in Africa who's, look, let me say this. I guarantee you that these mega preachers in Africa, they will go in hiding when the giant awake. When Africans awake and when more melanated people awake, these mega preachers, they will go in hiding. That's why they have $1 million homes all over in Europe and all of these places. They're going to run. I am telling you. So when it comes to the subject of whether you being horny or you being impotent, you have to see it on all three levels. The physical level, the psychological level and the spiritual level, but they've been shutting you down on the other two levels, and they only been keeping you on the physical level. That's why they try to make it look like melanated men only good for porn. But your endowment is a sign of your power. And to prove that even more, look at the albino. Only two melanated people can come together and bring a blonde-haired child in this world. An albino. No one else could do that. We have the more dominating gene. Then look at the earth and look at you. And you see what I'm talking about. That is why I'm going to say this. We can outfuck the entire world. Let me run that again. Preachers can't tell you this on the pulpit, you know. We are the only race of people on this planet that can outfuck all the other races. We have the highest sex drive. We don't need Viagra. As long as you get enough sunlight, pure water, you eating close to nature, you don't need Viagra. You don't need Cialis. You don't need those things. And that is why you think they created eugenics, Bill Gates and their family? Let me go into some things here, man. Why you think they created eugenics? So, first of all, they make sure they set up a colonial system so that they will infiltrate your subconscious mind from a child through the school system and prepare you for the plantation in a systematic way, and they set up the big horse slaves called politicians and so on, okay? They do all of that. Yet they come up again with eugenics. And then, with me growing up as a boy, I remember my parents and all the people used to call it family planning. They say they're planning your family. Plus, they come up with all the different diseases in the labs. I remember when HIV and those things started, preachers were saying that was God's judgment on people. And so they came up with all of these things because they realized how much you could reproduce and how fast we could reproduce and how fast we could transcend when we awake. There's no one else on this planet could transcend as fast. People look at Usain Bolt, and now this guy from I can't remember if it's the Congo he come from, then Goat. Can't remember if from the Congo or one of those boys, one of those African countries. They look at their fastness and they're not getting it. They think when they look at the Olympics and these things, they think these people just fast just like that. You look at the Jamaica, you know these other people who can't beat our people in the races. If they could find a way to use steroids or use some sort of performance enhancing drugs that can't be detected and so on, they could do it, you know. Because when mystics like myself and others start to arise and start to show you the symbology of these things, how could people be so endowed and people could be so fast and people could jump so high to basketball? Then they start to take these big basketball men and turn them into little sissies. And then these comedians too, and put on Jess on them to Hollywood. Do you know everything I'm saying here tie back to their parents being religious and superstitious and being impotent because they do not know who they are? So when you understand epigenetics, you understand where I'm coming from. So I'm saying to you, my brother, my sisters, we can break the curse, but you need men with backbone, men with bars, not men like TD Drakes. Some people call them TD Snakes. Okay, not these kind of men. Crefodal and all of these men who could only tell you about material prosperity while you still believe in an outside entity, and they keep you in stupidity. You're gonna die, leave all of the money with your children still saying the Lord and Jesus coming soon. You know how idiotic you have to be talking about Jesus coming soon? So a man who's impotent is actually also effeminate. That is why they have the LGBTQ and so on agenda too, you know. Because as I tell you, we only people who could out sex all the other race. So I go back to eugenics and all of these things. That's why in sports they come up with steroids. You know, steroids just make man what do you call it? When they can't bring forth a child. Because, for example, and I see they now start to get the steroids now in Africa, in East Africa. And the federations now lying to say these bodybuilders are natural. And so when a Caucasian woman see a melanated man with a good body, she get involved with him and then put him on steroids. And steroids will change your hormones. And so these men, the testicles just shrink and get small, like a little peanut. Because why? The testicle no longer produce, naturally speaking, no longer produce the testosterone that it's supposed to produce. But I'm saying to you, when you live in the tropics and you get enough sunlight, you could raise your testosterone level to about 200%, you know. Especially when you're eating closer to nature and you are spiritually minded and you are in alignment. So my brother, my sisters, from my own experience, I realize as a melanated person, you cannot become enlightened and live a life of compromise. When you become enlightened as a melanated person, you can't be rubbing shoulders with people who want to keep your people oppressed and in financial, economical slavery just because things better with you and things going good with you. Maybe other people could do that. I can't do that. And that is why I don't date outside my race. I would never do it. I don't believe in hybridization. Because I have a conscience. That is why certain people might not want to even ever collab with me. Because I would want to take the conversation a certain way. So, my brother, my sisters, I'm saying all of this because I realize how much our people are religious. And because they're religious, many of them, they're very much incompetent. And that incompetence is what I am calling being impotent. It's like unto a man who cannot reproduce. That is why they fill a lot of melanated people mind with this semen retention bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay? Because, for example, I normally tell people, breathe in and refuse to breathe out. Just refuse to release. Let me take a bag, like a plastic bag, and put it over your head so you can't release. So you keep everything in. Just inhale alone. No exhalation. Do you realize in the act of sex is inhalation and exhalation to bring the ejaculation? You think it's sperm? You think it's semen? Semen is the effect. So what they do, they trick you and get you off the cars. I see people telling me about, oh, when you release, your body losing so much nutrients and so on. All you have to go and eat. Eat good. So when you release, you're going to fall asleep. Most men that fall because they're weak. You got to release intentionally. As a matter of fact, I don't do a video on that. Okay, so you can get it in this week. Okay? Ejaculation for manifestation. I don't do that video. Okay? So, my brother and my sisters, the main thing that religion was used to attack is the sexuality. Don't make nobody fool you. Let me show you. Most people only see sexuality and the physical realm only. They never sit in the psychological realm. For example, right? Let me use an example, right? In my country, they override agriculture and now they're using what I call tourism. That's tourism, where they depend on tourist ships and all these like white people and these people coming off of ships and people trying to depend on these people to run an economy. And they make the politician rub shit at them out, okay? But when you think more deeply and you think of a thought and you think about your mind as a garden, and you realize as you sow, and whatever seed you sow in the garden, it's gonna bring back to you, right? You will realize that agriculture is from the dawn of time. The principle of sowing and reaping have always been from since the dawn of time. So they're boycotting your mind, tell you about tourism. And so in 2020, while people was busy praying to their outside savior to come and save them while they have loans and mortgages in the bank, right? And they've been forced to take the inoculation. I was there watching all the different resorts they were building in the islands. And I was trying to my girl attention. I said, look. I say, you people not realizing these people, while they're talking about COVID and people get so busy and so distracted, they're building more and more resorts. You know that's when the Butch Stewart family make the entrance into my country with sandals. And you realize that people believe, well, they get jobs and so on. You realize the amount of money they're charging for like one cabana, okay? Maybe about, say, 4 or 5 cabanas. What the people pay is what they could use to pay all the people they employ. And do you realize that the government in my country actually changed the minimum wage to accommodate the Sanders Hotel from paying their slaves less than $1,000 a month? And you carry to 1,000 to accommodate them. And the reason why I'm saying this, I wrote a book before that, telling you exactly what's going to happen called Bukomembe Resort and the Messenger, because work at Bukomembe Resort. And there's where my inner intelligence, my true essence was training me for what my work that I'm doing here. When you read a book, you see, I've been prepared for this. Because I grew up in a predominantly black country, okay, but it is run by a different set of people. And so in my country, they have an area that they normally go every year, the 14th of March, okay? And they say they're celebrating they have a national hero. And you know what these people did? There's an area where these children that was left by the slave masters who raped the women, they didn't care about these children to Europe, and they leave them in a place in my country called Dorsetshire Hill. Can't fool me. That's where they have the tomb. And they normally go up there every 14th of March and talk about National Heroes Day. And check the people. And that is why they pass down secret from lip to ears. And that's why they still the ruling class up to this day while the people talking about Jesus. The impotent. The water system shut down the body. So they can't do no water magic. They can't use water to manifest because the church leaders will tell them that is wrong. They can't use the sexual energy to transmute into their reality because they will tell them that sex magic is wrong. Because they tell you that there is a man who existed 2,000 years ago with blonde hair and blue eye who used to do magic or miracles, and they mix you up with words. And they tell you, well, he was a special one. He could have walked on water and he could have turned water into wine. But when you practice, you do sexual magic, which is basically you being more conscious and aware of how to use your sexual energy or transmit energy. They tell you, as I said. That's why they convince you that you can't partake unless you pay the system some money. And a man read from a little book and say, repeat after me. And then you feel now that you're righteous and you're having righteous sex without guilt and shame and judgment and condemnation. You're brainwashed. So my brother and my sisters, get rid of the impotence and get some common sense. Common sense is a chapter in a book that I would have written called Meditate to Eradicate Poverty. Common sense is your God self, or your God sense, Your infinite intelligence where you're born here, with your mental faculties, like your will, your perception, your reasoning, your memory, your intuition, your imagination. They have our people chasing after money. When money was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagine, it was first a thought. And the reason why they could do that so successfully, it is because they use secular Christianity and make you believe that your life must be based on certain morals. So morality is keeping you blind while they bring in charity. Do you know that they're keeping the sleeping giant Africa blind and dumb through charity? Do you realize that charity and missionary, they're chaps? Do you know charity and missionary will always keep in stupidity? Missionaries all around the world is a spy program. Giving charity too is a spy program. You talk about 007, James Bond. Everything is right before your eyes. And people can't see it. But you have to wake up. That's why you need to become spiritual, not religious. You need to be horny, not impotent. Okay? Which means you need to get your nervous system active. Okay? You need to circulate the energy all around your body before you release it to create your reality consciously. And you could do it psychologically. All these love attraction teachers telling you about gratitude. We think when you say gratitude and so on, we think you're doing. I have a gratitude, John. I think I'm supposed to do the video too, and I do some teachings on my university. There's a lot of things that I would definitely be teaching on my university. Okay, with you. Okay, so I'll definitely keep you up to date with that. Okay, I will take their sword. You read the story of David and Goliath, I'll show you what it's all about. They take their own sword and turn their own sword. That's why it's stupid to go wrong and try to chant down the Bible and pull down the Bible without being able to decrypt everything in the Bible and take the preacher's own words and shut them up. Take the religious people's own words and shut them up. That's why I don't argue or disagree with a Christian. Allow them to speak and take their own words and shut them up with their own words. No, look, if you listen to me, never argue and try to disprove a religious person. Accept what they say and show them for the light of what they say. To show them they do not have a full understanding of what they are saying. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't talk about no Anunnaki and all of that. You show any Anunnaki. I have all kind of experience. I've been up here to me ready too. So I could talk Anunnaki, but I don't like to talk things that doesn't resonate with me and that doesn't make sense. Like how semen retention don't make no sense. If you're going in the gym and you want to get big and so on, and you want to use more of your testosterone, okay, naturally speaking, and you want to stay off of some sex, you could do that. But that is you putting this above your spiritual self still. So you want to have big muscle and be dumb? Working at Planet Fitness? And then all these rich women will come and hit on you and make you a fuck boy? Are you going to enrich yourself and uplift yourself? Huh? You work on the inside first. So as I said before, concerning the semen retention, not the semen, you know, because the semen, as I said before, is the effect. You go to the cause. That's why they don't want you to understand certain breathing technique. There's certain breathing technique I'll be sharing with you, but I'll be sharing those breathing technique on my university with you. So once you join, yeah, I'll be doing a lot of teaching there. I'll take the Bible and rip it apart. When I say rip it apart, man, I open up everything for you. You put your hand, you're going to put your hand on your head and say, man, this man is making sense. Real sense too. Then you realize, but your parents, they were idiotic, but you can't blame them. That's why you don't try to change them. This is not religion. Religion, you're trying to bring your family, your friends, and everything. You want to bring them over with you. No. This is a lonely walk. If you're not ready to walk alone, then spirituality is not for you. Being religious is for you. Why you think Jim Jones was being so successful in killing all those people in Guyana? And you know, most of those people was melanated people that he poisoned, that he gave the Kool-Aid. Well, up to this day, they're still giving you the Kool-Aid in a more systematic way. Because they're not telling you the truth. No literal physical man ever walked this planet with blonde hair and blue eye, with special powers. They could have walk on water and turn water into wine. You gotta be real dumb and real foolish to believe that. No man coming from the sky to save your ass. So not until you learn to accept yourself and to love yourself and embrace yourself and pleasure yourself. Gratitude, saying gratitude and all of these things is pleasuring yourself. All of these retreats that have been run by Joe Dispenza. What do you think Joe Dispenza doing? Having the people pleasuring themselves. That's what they're doing. Why you think they try to bring down the American government? Try to bring down and destroy Osho. And Osho, even Osho claimed that Reagan government poisoned him. And why you think Netflix come and bring, and you know those media outlets, they're set up for propaganda. They try to paint a picture, and they do a documentary called, I think is Wild Wild Country with Osho, and they try to paint a different picture of Osho. But if you listen, I have Osho book, Secret of Secrets. I have that book, a massive book. I never read it. I have all of those things for confirmation of my experience. Yeah, and they try to create a whole picture about Osho. But when you listen to Osho teaching, you realize because the man was a wizard. The man was enlightened. And they make sure up to this day, they use the media to create a false image, a false perception in the mind of people concerning Osho. And they come up with the whole Wild Wild Country documentary bullshit. And they never highlight the man teaching. So my brother, my sisters, I'm saying all of this because it is time enough for people to wake up. Because I am telling you, these churches will go empty when melanated people wake up. And for them to wake up, they have to first be willing to unlearn and relearn. Then they will be ready to reprogram the subconscious mind. Okay. So my brother, my sisters, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in some of the comments and react and with you and have a conversation with you. Someone here, Tina Mary, say, hey friend. Yes. Nice having you, Tina. You always here, always supporting this work. Okay. And she says, time for knowledge. I want to just encourage you to apply the knowledge, then it become wise. Okay. Because only wisdom when you apply it. Okay. Someone say, Namaskar, BMG, and other fellow beings here. Okay. Same to you. Okay, Dominic. Okay. It's nice to have people of like-mindedness. Okay. Sharing the same aspect of life. Okay. And we all believe in the power that is within. That is why on the US dollar it says, in God. One of the richest man in my country, he have a hall of fame where he left a lot of people who contribute in the country there. And I one of the few men who ever went there and channeled those people energy, you know. Yeah, man. I know what it was all about. And he leave a sign there saying, in God we trust. And the people in the country think he's talking about money. They think he's talking about money. Okay, because they believe in the out God. But the in God is what I'm pointing you to, which is your Christ consciousness, your higher self. Okay? You just explain religion perfectly. Appreciate hearing that. Yeah. Religion, all religion is called. Okay, but on the other hand, if you understand the secret teaching, then you would realize all of them is pointing to the same place, which is basically self-realization, knowing who you are. Okay, but they give the esoteric teaching and understanding to the masses. Okay. God body, hi to you. Kevin, does that mean that love is connection of everything? Of course, love is connection of everything, and everything is connected. They don't want you to know your oneness. That is why they hid the love mentalism from the masses. Because once you understand the law of mentalism, you can't be religious again. You can't go to church believing some man coming to save you. Because once you understand all his mind, you start to become more responsible. You start to take accountability. You wouldn't look for a crutch. I look to some entity outside to blame for what is happening in your life. You will understand cause and effect also. And you would know that thoughts become things, and that we do become what we think about most of the time. Okay? So when you spend most of your time in a church and a pastor casting spell over you, okay, and you think it's a good spell, when it is bad spell, making you feel guilt and shame and judgment and condemnation and feel like you're not good enough, you're going to fall asleep in that consciousness and you're going to awaken that consciousness and continue your side life like that. You've been trapped right here in this physical realm. That's why they don't want you to know anything about astral projection and these things. I have some videos I'll do on those things too. Okay? Bobby, Mustach, duality. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you're a multi-dimensional being. Okay? You can go to many different dimensions. And once you understand that, you will know that death is not real like you think it is. That's why they make the funeral business a big business. The church is benefiting from funerals and weddings. Okay? That's what they do. That's why my dead body will never go in a church. No preacher speaking over me. No way. Della Dolly 100%. Of course, it's truth. You see, truth is what will set you free when you really know the truth. Because you wouldn't find it on the outside. You would find it within yourself. That's why we set you free. Only you alone could set free. You can't set your family and your family members free. So don't go chatting to them and trying to change them. You can't change them. Change yourself. And they go see the change. He said, then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you thirsty and give you something to drink? Okay, I know what the pause is quoting from here. Okay, because you see, when you appreciate others and you give to others and you uplift others, what you think you're doing? You're doing it unto yourself. And you're doing it unto God, because God is you and you is God. There's no God on the outside. No matter what fool, only idiots believe. Only idiots believe that there's some power on the outside. The only creator there is in your consciousness, in your awareness. This whole world you believe to be real. Up to last night I dreaming. Huh? This whole body shut down by dreaming. I did other wars. I doing other things. How that explain that to me? I remember one time a religious guy tried to, think he could deal with me, and he was telling me, you can't give yourself a dream. You can't give yourself a dream. I said, bro, the dream I man is God. That shut him down completely. I said, bro, the dream in man is God. He couldn't say anything else. They don't want you to know who the dream in you is. So, when you give to your brother and your sisters, man, it's to yourself. We are all one. It's only God having this human experience. So it could be God asleep or God awake. You could be God who killed twinner, and it could be God who make alive. You could be God who wound, and you could be God who heal. According to Deuteronomy 30, I think it's 30 to 39. You could read it for yourself. Yeah, man. This is real fire right here. Even in the book of Mind Science, it show you the false prophet, they didn't have no fire. But because they didn't understand alchemy. They had wood, they had water, they had earth, they had all of that. Go read the story, Elijah. And you know that no story, that's a parable. And you have over 450 and it's one man. What's so much of these tele-evangelists with private jet and so on? Ask them to come debate me when I said that the Bible is a book of mind science. How they going to debate me without opening up their mouth and speak? And you're going to tell me a word is not the expression of a thought? I can't be proven wrong. That's why I tell you, when Africans wake up, all of these mega preachers, they're going to hide in. That's why they're buying homes in all of these, in Europe and all of these places. Chris Agrioli, all of those kind of people, Benny Hinn, all of them too, But he's not African, but he chicken Africans. as a Titan Super Saiyan gaming. Facts. This 100% facts. Okay. I just found your channel today and I'm happier than before. Thank you very much. I would definitely appreciate you to check out the video. I've done so many videos over the years. There's so much knowledge lying there. Okay. It will help you to see that this whole world have been screwed because most people are brainwashed and they're living a lie. Let me show you how being a Christian and be religious is living a lie. You have never spent a time on this planet where there was just light, and no darkness. And you'll never spend any time on this planet where you was just good. And you know the chick that are saying, church, God is good. And the people would say, all the time. And then the preacher say, all the time. And then they say, God is good. That is such a lie. That is such a spell you cast yourself under. Why you want to be good all the time? Nah, I don't want to be good all the time. Sometimes I wanna be lustful too. Yeah. I'm afraid to say that. It's up to this man, and I was telling my girl, I'm not the only man in this world who just think about sometime when you have a friend, you are with your woman friend too. Because I was talking about something that's on the internet. So these preachers are liars, lying to you. No one in this world could be good. And no one in this world could be pure. You can't be pure good, you can't be pure evil. It have to be a balance, a both. No matter no man fool you. You can't have a good woman without a bad woman. I did a video, you will get it in this week concerning the prostitution secret the church don't want you to know. When I open it up that way, you say, wait, you never said this way so before. This make real sense. You understand why they don't want you know certain things. Okay. So my brother, you found this channel. That means you vibrate to a certain level and frequency. For example, you have so many different radio stations in my country and countries all around the world. But for example, in my country, a preacher gave them a radio station, right, named Praise FM. What you will hear on Praise FM is not what you will hear on 103.7. I think they have a radio station in 103 because I don't really listen to those things, so that I'm not so thing. Yeah, you'll be hearing different things. So it's the same thing here too. Okay, there's some people right now on the internet and they in politics. They get distracted with Trump and Elon Musk and all of these people. Every Sunday I look forward to listening to this man. Thank you very much. Okay. As a matter of fact, every day Sunday, you can't have a day without the sun. But you know, sometimes we say Monday, Tuesday and all of that. But if you really, I would encourage you to check out how the days of the week get the name. And how the months get the name. So you see all these religious idiots, don't bother them, they're idiots. That's why they call them monkey. That's why they do in Europe they used to do the monkey chant and they used to chew banana and the field to Africans. Like when their team losing and so on, yeah, a whole stadium used to make monkey chant. Because when you start to live in your monkey mind, when you're religious and super and talking about Jesus coming soon, you know, and going to church. Especially as a black man going to church, you know how emasculating that is. That ain't no man. You have a man standing up over you. He on a pulpit that he's standing up over you, you know, looking down on you and casting spell on top of you. He have a right to sleep with your wife. Because you're not being a man. It doesn't matter, watch me. Any black man who goes to church and listen to a man standing over him, that man have a right to sleep with his wife because he's less of a man. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm being a little humorous, but this is true. There's a country in Africa named Chad. Check it out. They used to have a culture that when a young man married, he had to bring his wife enough, his father to break she in first. The younger generation was kicking against it. I mean, I like to have fun, but it's true. You must check it out, Chad, African country. Yeah, when a young man married, he had to bring his wife first, daddy first. You understand? Daddy first, I eat it. You understand? And then, son, you there, daddy first break that in for you. Okay. Poverty is a state of mind, not a way of life. Of course, it's a disease, a nasty, stinking, dirty disease. Okay. You know, sometimes I see people in my country, they normally write up on the vehicle, scripture verses, and you know, is the bank, they went and borrowed the money, and the credit union, and most of the time they chop and can't help themselves. And the very Bible says that the rich roll it over the poor and the borrower is a slave to the lender. Why would you want to be a borrower? And you have the sexual desire to bring a child in this world. Why you ain't use it the right way? Because the preacher check you. Okay? This is so fake, bro. I don't know what this person talking about. But somebody answering, they say you can leave. Okay? To the man who's fake, everything is fake. Even the truth, you see the truth as fake. You understand? That is why they take the fake in their body, 2020 to 2022, while still going to church talking about the Lord coming soon. And because why? They think they're going to starve to death. They think they will be the homeless. They was in survival mode. All the animals just live in survival mode. Like when they're in the jungle, they think it's a dog world we live in when they have more than enough. Just look around, man. Just look around. When I look around, why do you think I like to be in nature? Nature always teach me there's abundance all around. And you live in a mindset of lack and scarcity, and you say, give me the inoculation. A man named Fauci and Bill Gates and Nod control all these people and make they can take inoculation. Why you think J.D. Vance now, we buying up all the farmers' land? All the people who think they were privileged and don't know what the shit the ancestors did to other people, they're crying now. This is not fake. This is real. Yeah, of course, chores. I like what he says. I say the chores must show up, and we appreciate the chores, you know, because they will help the interaction go along. So we glad to have the chores, okay? Because we know they can't learn. They be ever learning, but not coming to the knowledge of the truth because they can't believe in themselves. No, they believe. I remember one time I see a short video with a man named Saneta asking an African man. You understand something? And the African man say he believe in Jesus more than himself. Oh my God, that sick my stomach. I wanted to chop. He said he believe in Jesus so much, he believe in Jesus more than himself. I know, you know, that's what happened in Africa and African people and black people. While the man moving in and taking all the land and so on and taking all of the wealth. Chinese moving in and taking the portion. You know, Chinese control Jamaica. And every corner you go in Jamaica is a church. Trinidad, my country. Every corner you turn is a church. And so the banks getting more fat in them. Grand Rising all. Okay, the Bible talks about us. Who is us and the Bible talk about? The Bible talk about the mind. Okay, all is mind. Don't make nobody fool you. It's mind science. The entire Bible is mind science. You think he had some you think God write the Bible? You think he has some God and some power on the outside that write the Bible and give you the Bible? No. Man created God. There's no real name for the intelligence. You could call the intelligence Brahma, Allah, Buddha, you name it. Any name. So my brother, my sisters, don't take this Bible and believe that it's some religious book. It's all mind science. It's all about the mind. It's all about the mind. Don't make no one fool. It's all about the mind. But how you all know the Bible and God even real? You see? What I can tell you that is real, I know if you plant pumpkin, you can't reap nothing else but pumpkin. And that's the same law I use psychologically speaking. I know as you think, so shall you be. So Bible is all mind science. So you talking about God. Who's God? Show me God. Show me Jesus. If Jesus exists, show me Jesus. The white man paint a picture of himself and give you to worship and you don't even know it. You have to be real dumb and an idiot. That's why they call you monkey. Why do you think they call black people monkey? You don't talk about animals, they talk about unorganized mind. But you have a higher mind than them when you wake up. Didn't know that? You're scared. Whenever Africa wake up, boy, oh my. When Africans wake up, these men that us call daddy and papi, when Africans do wake up, You think all these war they're fighting and so on in the so-called Middle East, which is basically Africa? You think the price is really where they want you to believe real price of Africa, you know? But God, when African wake up, you know. Like just cause they made a book called the Bible, you all ain't got no proof, bro. Okay. As I tell you, that book was put together, but it was encoded. It could only be decoded by certain men. And these certain men, like myself, have to have certain experiences. Because a real educated man is a man who know how to go in and jar out from. And you could only jar out from your experience. You think people talk about, oh, study the scriptures to show yourself approve, a walk, man of God. Nah, so happened to the illiterate man who can't read and write. He could look at nature. So another kind of study in there. That's why the school system manipulate melanated people and weaponize black women. You realize that the so-called educational system weaponize black women? You know, when I look at these pop the balloon shows, I realize how some men could be so weak, have a woman coming and telling them, do you love the Lord? Are you a man of God? And these weak-ass men standing there, knowing they will be seen all around the world and television and so on, say, well, you know, I was raised in the church. I don't go to church every Sunday, but I try my best. Bro, your weak-ass man, she'll walk all over your weak ass. That's why nice guys always finish last. You think when you hear them women say they want a man of God, they want a man that can walk over. And you see how the women have just something kind of way, you can't even tell them how they dress. They always talk about man too short. You understand? But but you can't tell them about their hair. You can't tell them about the kind of wig they're wearing. You can't tell them none of those things. You can't tell them why is their body. You can't ask them why is their body count. They want to hold you accountable for something you can't change, like your height. But if you ask them about the virgin seal, you know that, bro, you realize, right, that they convince our women so much through using the Bible and Christianity in a way that they believe that they could just open their leg for any man that come by and never have any accountability. While on the other hand, they take the Quran and they tell the women they're not supposed to open their leg for every man. They're supposed to marry, right? So one go to this extreme and one go to this extreme. And it gets so bad that these women, some of them don't hit their 30s and they never really get someone to settle down with and so on, and they're still watching height and so on, and they're fooling themselves and being delusional and thinking that they could come on a dating show and talk about how much how much business they have and how much money they're making and think that would impress a man. That won't impress a real man, because you not being the man. Man have always been hunters and gatherers. They take black women out of the feminine energy and put them in a masculine energy. But that's why it takes out the men to try to get black women to get back into the feminine energy. Kevin Samuel do that and they kill him. But when you're not afraid of death, they can't kill you. They're doing you a favor because you're coming back. And each time you come back again, stronger and stronger. You can't kill a man who's not afraid of death. He's not afraid of anything. Flying dreams, okay? Yes, go to fly in a dream, but when you can reach up, you can appear and disappear in a dream. Man, these preachers can't talk to you, man. Because you understand, when he says in the book of my insight, that shall change from mortal to immortality in a twinkling of an eye. Based on my experience, that twinkling of an eye, there's an eye inside of you. That's why they put it on the US dollar. There's an eye in you. When the eye open and you find your mystical self, it cannot be controlled. That's why people who are religious and superstitious can be easily controlled. Why you think these women coming on these shows and asking if you're a man of God, if you just go to church, because they want to be easy, they want men who they could easily control. While on the other hand, when they get these men that could easily control, they're looking for the bad boy for slam and jam with them. And the idiot they home talking about Jesus coming soon. Like I see a woman say, you must pray. You must pray to Jesus before you have sex, and people on the internet marking shit. No, you must go with your intentions. And know you're taking part in a magical act. And the church don't want you to know that you're a magician. I have a video comment on that. You have the right to believe whatever you want. Of course, everybody have a right to believe whatever they want. Don't project your beliefs on others. You know, it just recently I was thinking on that, right? With projecting your belief, right? And when I really understand that in the deep, I realize when people say certain things to you, right? I now want to say to them, that's your thought, no, that's not mine, you know. Do you know that's your thought and that's not mine? Do you know that you can have a thought for me and I can have a thought for you? Yo, bro, when you start to reason from them standpoint and you meet religious and superstitious people, you shut them down and shut them up, you know. That's your thought. That's not mine. I can have a thought for you, you can have a thought for me. That's your thought. That's my thought. So they are project themselves and their belief and you and think it is you. You see how religion, yo, you know, bro, you know how religion messed up? You know how stink and dirty and nasty the church system really is, along with the political system. You know those are spiritual shit houses people go to on a Saturday and a Sunday. And when these preachers open their mouth literally stink of shit because shit they're talking shit. They want you to believe a man literally went down in the belly of a whale, and a man had a male this and a female that in a boat called an ark, and you really believe that? Bro, you know how dumb? You know how dumb? You shouldn't vex if someone call you a monkey. If you had a belief, you shouldn't vex. Don't be angry if someone call you a monkey. If you believe in Jesus in 2025, you shouldn't vex if somebody call you a monkey. You know in my country, people just hate me for not believing in Jesus. Literally hate me. And they will all say they ain't projecting anything. When they come with a dumb belief, but some man gonna come from the sky. They come meet their parents talking that shit. Okay? I come meet it too. As a matter of fact, they make sure they indoctrinate us in the school, you know. At a very young age, you know. You know how hard it is to escape from that kind of indoctrination? But when you wake up and you realize how stink and dirty church and state is, and how church and state intermingle, you shit on every portrait that they give you of this blonde hair blue boy. This Jesus, you shit, literally take the picture and carry it out in nature and literally bend down and shit on it. When people start to come to these realizations, many of them wouldn't be slaving on resorts. I remember I mentioned my book Bukomembe Resort and the Messenger. I remember me walking in the gym at Bukomembe Resort. Okay, it was run by an Englishman named David Ames. He's in jail right now. As a matter of fact, he run off with all the money, rob the people in the country, but he's not in jail for that, you know. They allow him to get out of this country. With all of that, you know. It's other things he do up there with investors up in England while he's in jail. Okay? I remember one time I take a little walk from the gym and I go over where the pool is and so on. When I see all of these people lying in the sun, get tan in their skin, and I see melanated people serving them, I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. And when these people come down on the resort and they see me in the gym, they say, you have the best job. I have air condition, everything. They say, you have the best job. Sometimes when I walk in at the gym, I see some people outside doing landscaping or something. I call them. I have 2 fridges inside of there. I say, want a water? I give them a water, something. And something have fruits, all different things inside of there. You understand what I'm saying? I couldn't deal with it. And right now, if you go down at Sanders Hotel, you see the same thing. And people think, well, you get a job. School program, dumb programming like that. But, of course, they have to be balanced. So they have to be workers and the employees and employers. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I'm not going to no extreme. I'm just showing you things to wake you up. I always say, somebody have to clean the street. But it don't have to be you. Somebody have to clean the toilets. But it doesn't have to be you. So if you find this message and it ruffling your car and so on, okay, your feathers, you ruffling your feathers, and I mashing your car, and it's not for you. I felt a lot in my gym, but didn't understand what was happening. Yeah. that you get more in touch with the invisible self, man. That you out of this physical world in another world, in another dimension. Okay, where you can do all things. You are the omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent one. There's no other entity outside of you. Everything exists in your consciousness. Don't make no one fool you. If I was, I would be telling people not to believe it. Oh. That's what the person saying to the next person. Okay, Amma, give it a chance, bro. Spit something. Hold on. Greetings, Guru. Greetings to you. Adrian, greetings to you. I still remember that to pass and check you out, okay? So I ain't forget you. Just busy at the time, okay? Then there's no opportunity coming for we. We are the opportunity of a better outcome, of course, okay? And I see the surname, it look like, you know, like an African surname. I'm telling you, when Africans realized that they were blinded by, you know, even the book of Mind Science, the Bible, it tell you that gift does blind you. You know, all of these celebrities that go to Africa, you know what I mean, Rihanna, you name it, all of these people go to Africa, play the joke in water, and so on. And you can actually get water from out of the air. You can actually get clean water from out of the air. A black man came up with that invention. A black man even come up with that invention. You could take plastic and get fuel out of it to take a vehicle and so on. You understand? But they don't want you to realize that we all the greatest invention ever come from us. We play a part in it. Electricity and so on, they never tell you the man with the filament, it was a black man. They never tell you that. They hide all the things. And they make sure they own the patent for certain things, so you have to go to them, they can steal your thing. They're thieves and robbers. Look, I talk about when Africa wake up, but I'm telling you, when Caucasian people wake up too, you know, and realize that they were solar light too, you know. When Caucasian people wake up too and realize the false privilege and the fake privilege was given and they realize the truth, you know. Oh my. You have no opportunity coming, man. You found your opportunity with yourself. Okay. So be sure to like and comment and let's get this channel to 25,000. And from when we reach 25,000, then we go to the next level. Somebody say, yeah, man, Batty boy. Let me say something and the person make the comment like that. Okay. For example, right, people in Jamaica and in the islands and so on, you know what they did? They failed to realize, right, that homosexuality and all of these different lifestyles concerning people's sexuality is a weapon used against the weak-minded people who do not understand the law of polarity. Catch that. The law of polarity. How could there be a batty boy if there isn't a straight man? And how could there be a straight man if there isn't a batty boy? The batty boys will help you to know that you're straight. So you understand balance. So there's a bunch of ignorant, melanated people who does bonfire. And when they do that, they end up and they go with a woman and they bring a batty boy in the wall. Why you think Jamaica have so much and they keep increasing? Because they're ignorant. And it take a man like me to deal with that kind of ignorance. Sometimes I try to reason with young men in the country, I can't reason with them. Because they start to get violent very quickly. That is why I heard well, you could call him a snitch how much you want, you know, a man named Charleston White on the internet. He said, when a black man buy a gun, who you think about killing? He own. So you have to speak against all them ignorance. So would the batty boy live his life how he want to live his life? That's a weapon because you know the white man back in the time of slavery. You know what they used to do to break certain slave? So why you want to be vibrating on that kind of energy? If you love Yanni, you understand? Speak about Yanni. Don't study who want to be batty boy. More because I know a lot of people, young men in my country, who like talk about those things. Secretly, they were see bending over because they were away main brand. They were away name brand. You know what a young man I know, they some of them even leave the country and go away. And they always want to hide their women. So don't use the energy on them thing. Who want to be batty boy, that's their business. This is Bossy Bumbo Clyde. Pussy. Yeah, Jamaica, I'm not afraid to say that Jamaica have a lot of ignorance. Okay? They try to be homophobic and so on, and that is destroying them. Because you see, when you focus on something that you don't want, you know, you're creating it. Just as much as when you focus on something you want, you're creating it. It's the same thing when you don't want it. Why are you focusing on what you don't want? Why are you going to focus on something you don't want to do or become? Don't focus on those things, bro. You're stupid and being ignorant when you do that. You've been a monkey boy. When you're wasting your energy talking about body boy, you've been a monkey boy. Yeah, don't do that. I will rebuke you. Tell you don't do that. It's foolish. Leave them, let them do their thing. Because some of these people who burning out Batty Boy and so on, they're going and vote for politicians. And who you think does legalize homosexuality? Why you think they use a black man Obama for even for do more? You legalize it even more in America. See, some people wake up. I'm spiritual. Only a spiritual person can go through walls, of course, in their dream. And that is what I experience. And I love it. Yeah, man, you could go through walls. You could go through water and you're not stifled, you're not drowning. They don't want you to do that. Hey, church don't want you to do that. You could go through wall. Nothing solid. People fail to realize the real batty boy and thing is who does go to church. They fail to realize that that's man over man controlling you. See, people does only see sex at one level. They don't see psychological and spiritual. What happens if two albino people have a kid? I don't know about that. You understand? Because most of the time, most albino, I've never seen an albino with an albino, to be honest with you. Okay. The only thing I could tell you, one time I tried to talk to an albino girl in my country to tell her only two black people could bring someone like her. And she tell me she see white people bring black people. And I couldn't convince her, so I leave her. I just couldn't convince her. Maybe she must see them with an adopted child and she don't know it's an adopted child. And to see how religion keep our people blind. You know, a Caucasian person could go and adopt a child, a black child. Okay? But hardly could a black person go and adopt say a white child. And if they do that, they have to pay more money. You see the trick? Even in pornography, they pay white people them more, you know. Bro, when our people really wake up and really realize what's going on, boy. How church? Man, yo, religion. Anybody who come on this feed, he come and talk about religion, talk about Jesus. We just call you a monkey one time, bro. Me have no respect. I call you a monkey one time. Go somewhere else. When you wait to hold your energy, you can manifest. Bro, you telling me, right, that your father wait told to bring you here? You're that dumb? Your father didn't wait told to bring you here. Your father released to bring you here. Anything that's going to manifest, there have to be a release. That's stupid. You could imagine a farmer going out and say, you know, I storing up my seed. I hold my seed. I release my seed. And you can bring forth a crop. You see how social media and these clowns that they use to talk about, oh, Semen gonna make you rich. Oh well, then that mean Elon Musk and all these people, they don't fuck and they don't release. No, they don't do that. So a monk supposed to be the richest man, because if you monk of them not do nothing. And how could you have a healthy body, me, and you're not flowing over? Man, I was so healthy, lifting weights, big, strong. You understand? And when I was in secular Christianity, man, I will lie down and I just flow over. One time I was so ashamed. I went by a hotel, and that time I was in Christianity. And at the time we had to share bed. It was two boys had to stay in a bed. And was a group of men. I'm being truthful. I think we went St. Lucia. Okay? And I remember quite vividly. When I leave from the service that they had, and we reached home, we reached back by the hotel. It was like say midnight, the night, and I lied on the bed, and the other guy, he had fallen asleep. I feel so good that he had fallen asleep, because if he didn't fall asleep, I don't know how how I would have well, he might not have known, right? But I don't know, you know, how I would I might have react. Okay. But from the moment I reach and I switch on I go and switch the television. The television was on Cinemax, right? And Cinemax, like in the from midnight they used to have like sexual movies and things. Though it's not porn, like soft porn you could call it. And all I just heard was just this song and the words was going up and just this song was finishing and I flew over one time. Just like that. I was so ashamed of myself. I just ease over, go in the bathroom and clean up myself. The brother never, nobody never know it. So when people talk about semen retention, man, go get some common sense with the semen retention shit. Not because something going viral and they could make anything go viral to catch you if you're not a real free thinker. You gonna wait till? No. Release. Okay? But before you release, if it's a little 1 minute, because you're a bunch of 1 minute and 5 minute man, no. You recycle the energy all the time. You recycle it. Control your mind. If you could control your mind, you could control your body and you control that. And when you're ready to do, you release that with your intention. Get anything you want. That's why they use semen retention because they tell you we could all fuck the entire world. Melanated people. We are the highest sex drive there is. The things, steroids, all of these things will keep you down. Eugenics, all of these things. Bro, wake up. I hate to see melanated brothers talking about, oh, semen retention, do this and that. Semen? It's not semen. Waiting to bring the semen. What does bring the semen out is more powerful than the semen. Because as I tell you, the semen is the effect. You go to the cause. Cause go back to the mind, and the mind go all the way back to what? The breathing. You're telling me about the breathing. I have some breathing technique and so I'm doing. You get it at my university. Breathing, do you know why you know that? When you're having sex, you know, your breathing change. When you start to get horny, your breathing, everything has changed, bro. When you hear Joe Dispenza and all of them talking about theta and alpha brainwave, you get caught up with scientific and try to these sophisticated this and that and that. Oh no. Our people have been people in nature. I can take the thing of nature and go back to his old science and they tell you neuroscience and this and that. The same thing. Pleasure yourself. That's why I do video. Pleasure yourself in the mirror. Go get that. What you think you're doing? Gratitude and all of that. Pleasure in yourself. Meditation. Visualization. Pleasure in yourself. People think masturbation is just you doing this. Nah. You stimulate your mind too. Desire. The spiritual sensation is from the spirit it's coming from. Someone asks why rhetorical question. He wants to wonder what would happen. Nope. What happened if a monkey and a dog has a baby? I don't know anything about a monkey and a dog. But I know when you cross a horse and a donkey, you get a mule. That's why I don't believe in hybridization. I don't believe in interracial marriage. People could laugh at Omar Johnson. I'm not his kind of person either, really and truly, right? But there's certain things that the man says that I am in agreement with, okay? Because if he's a deadbeat father and thing, I can't agree with him for being that, okay? I'm not saying he's that, okay? But when you're talking about Black Queen forever and Snow Bunny never and so on, I mean, I could go in the Bible, which is the book of Mind Science, and show you the way how Christians interpret the Bible. If I interpret the scripture just like that, you can see something. As a matter of fact, I'll go into it and show you it. Okay? So anything that crossbreed can bring back after its own kind. Don't make nobody fool you. A horse and a donkey could never bring back something original. They bring a mule, and the mule will outwalk the horse and the donkey, and it can't bring forth back nothing. Why you are bring a crossbreed in this world, a hybrid? Why you think when you have mixed couples on the internet, they get a bunch of views and all of that? It's a freaking agenda. Like I have someone who I normally personal train, okay? And I do a little bit of personal training sometimes, okay? Once you're ready to pay me good and so on and all of that, and it's feasible to me and so on, I could just drive, you know, and so on. So I do a little bit of personal training. I was training someone and so on, and he was relating a little story to me of a white lady who came in this country here because the telecarnival was just recent, and he told me that the woman threw a condom on him and asked him if he would like to use it. And he said he was like dumbfounded. He didn't know because, you know, women don't approach people like that here, like in our country. I said to him, I would have asked her if she have someone in mind. Then I would have put her in her place. Okay. Someone asked me if I know kung fu moves. I watch a lot of kung fu movies. When I was small growing up, my mother wanted me to get into kung fu and so on and protection, learn to protect myself and so on. But I never really, you know, was this kind of person who was gravitated towards that. You know, I was more gravitating towards like more fitness in terms of going on the beach and exercise and so on, doing push-ups, sit-ups and those kind of things and so on. That's why I've always been a bodybuilder. Look, I'm a natural bodybuilder. 100% natural, okay? I've always been into health and wellness, okay? As a matter of fact, very soon you see you have a health and wellness business. When that do happen, I'll let you know, okay? So 2 albino with the same genetics will produce more albino offspring, maybe. I'm not too sure about that. Okay, someone was reminding me the word I was trying to use infertile when I was talking about when you're impotent, you could become infertile. Okay, and that's what religion has done to black people, keep them infertile. They can't bring forth. They shut them down. That's why the banks laughing at them, the credit unions, everything. They're laughing at them. And when you check, for example, I went into a credit union just recently, okay, to carry something for someone, okay? And I noticed, you know, all the different presidents, they have brother and sister. And I asked, I said, oh, they have brother and sister. I said, these people belong to some fraternity. The person told me, no. I said, no, I believe they belong to some sort of fraternity. And I know some of these people personally. So they keep it infertile. And when they keep it infertile, you can't think properly. Okay, so religion is not to stimulate your mind to think. It's to shut you down. That's why spirituality is to stimulate your mind. That's why I use the word horny. When you're horny, you're stimulated. So just like how you have the sexual organs, you have to realize it's connected to your mind. Here, down here, and up here is connected. So, for example, when Joe Dispenza them talking about heart and brain coherence, you have to go to the seat of consciousness. That's why I'm more in tune with the solar plexus than the heart. Because the solar plexus is right below there. It have to give the heart that kickstart. The heart is like a clock. You have your first heartbeat, you have your last heartbeat. When you checking somebody's pressure, I think it's dystolic and diastolic, something like that, I can't remember. Okay, when I was doing my fitness education and things, I learned 1 or 2 things there, but I can't remember some of it, you know. But one of them have to do with the last beat and the first beat and the last beat, and that's how you put things together to come up with the person's pressure and so on. But it's the same thing. You see, everything intertwines. Yeah, religion will make you sterile. Thank you, Adrian. That word sterile too, okay? And the same thing with cross, when they crossbreed. He said, little peanuts, stay away from steroids. Yeah, that's why people think men who want steroids, the dick shrink, the dick don't shrink. It's the balls, the testicles. That's why a lot of these men have to go on TRT and HRT, because they go on it so young that the testicles start producing testosterone. Okay, so that's why many melanated men who are in bodybuilding in the top levels, they married to some white woman. The white woman always put them on steroids. Yeah, I used to put my sack in the sun. Yeah, those areas need to get a little bit of sunlight. The woman too. The vagina need to get some sunlight too. Yeah. Everything comes from the sun. Don't make nobody fool you. Everything comes from the sun. That's why they want to block out the sun. The same people who give you eugenics, they want to block out the sun. Yeah, you could put your sack in the sun. Not. You don't want to put your sack in the sun when the sun is like 12 o'clock in the day or in the morning. Just like when you're doing sun gazing. Okay, if the sun is up and it's very, very strong, you could close your eye and let the sun hit you right here too. Rascal is thank you for enlightening the world. So it was a pleasure to enlighten the world. Since I was a little boy growing up, as a matter of fact, when I became a bit old, I asked my mother why is it when I was in school I never failed, but when it was for me to do what they call the common entrance to go to a secondary school, I was a bit older than the other kids. Why that was so? My mother told me when I was small, I never wanted to go to school. I used to just want to go among the fruit trees and pick up the fruit, like the mango trees, and pick up the mango and put them in heaps and leave them for people when they pass by, that they will get mangoes to eat. So I've always wanted to help people. It has always been inside of me from ever since. That's why, when I was searching for myself and I get involved in secular Christianity, okay, I was working at the post office and they used to tell me, people complaining about me trying to talk to them and convert them, and if I don't stop, that they would fire me from the job. And I told them I am already fired because I wasn't going to stop. As a matter of fact, when I leave the post office, I leave there with an envelope, and I would have always tell all the other workers, I'm the only man going to leave there with an envelope, and I did, because I don't compromise and stand for bullshit. Okay, so when they change from government to a corporation, and the corporation didn't pay off the workers and re-employ who they want to, they didn't do that, and they want to come and change job description, I stood up against them. And all the other weak people, all things happened to them after I leave. I took my envelope. I do as I please. I told them they can't change my job description. The same thing happened to me at Bukomembe Resort. Okay? And I told them I'm not an indentured servant and I'm not a slave. When the white man think he could have checked me and he said, let's go for a ride and let's talk. He said I was just a little bit pissed off and so on and so on. He think he could use psychology on me. Tell me, come back the next day and go home and relax yourself. Come back the next day and go to HR and lodge your complaint. When I see all of the bias and discrimination that was going on. And you know what I told him? I said, yes, I will do that. I'll come Monday morning. They never see me on that resort again. Now that is what they call in sandals right now. That's the new sandals in my country. We used to be Bukomembe Resort. And I said it in the book. I said they're going to bring more slave masters as investors, and they're going to offer them just a little bit more in payment. You're talking about putting your sack in the sun, pussy clear. Yeah. Nothing wrong with giving, letting down here get some sunlight. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? Real talk. Someone say Africa rising. Africa been rising for too long. It's time for fucking Africans wake up. You see, the reason why most black people are not waking up, because black people just get easily angry when you tell them the truth, and some people don't want to tell them the truth. But I will tell them the truth. But you either hate me or you love me. But if you act like a monkey, I'm going to call you a monkey. That's why I'm not clinging for no one. Christianity is what they use to get our people to clung for everybody in the world. Okay? That is why I'm saying when you are religious, you're impotent. They shut down all of your potential, all of your greatness, and having you look into the sky for some man to appear. Yeah, common sense before book. And I remember I mentioned that in my book, Meditate to Eradicate Poverty. I have a chapter there on common sense. I remember one time it was election season in my country. As a matter of fact, this year is election year too in my country. Okay. And I remember a politician asked me if he's going to get my support. And I pull a leaf, and I tore the leaf in two. And I put one in this hand and one in the next, and I say, this over here is education, and this one over here is imagination. Which one was before? The politician get vexed. He said, I know. Come and say, well, before book. You understand? And he walk away from me. Okay. Up to this day, when he see me, he just look at me a certain way. But what I was trying to tell him is imagination is more greater than the so-called academic education, which is fake education. And he asked me what I have against education. He didn't ask me what I have against politics, you know. He asked me what I have against education because why? That is the agenda they run in the Caribbean, Africa, and all of these places. That's why they are always building schools. You see men, like for example, there's a man who used to be on the internet, well, he passed on now, named Bob Proctor. He used to be teaching the same kind of thing, but more from a metaphysical standpoint too. And he did belong to a brotherhood. He used to have a ring. Okay, but after a while, he take it off, but he used to all the time have a ring. If he been in from before, okay, when he had the goalish, like, right? And they talk about building school in Africa, but using law of attraction. Man, I don't know when people going to wake up. All of these puppet preachers here in Africa, they need to get rid of them. Trump bring them in the White House and make a fool of all of them. Ramaphosa, all of them. Why Trump bring them and ask one of them, why you learn English? Some old ass men need to, a younger generation need to wake up and get rid of these old ass men. One of the brainwashing tactics. Okay. When the missionaries arrived, the Africans had the land, and the missionaries had the Bible. They taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. When we opened them, they had the land, and we had the Bible. It's still happening up to this day. Still happening up to this day. When praying have nothing to do with you speaking to any entity outside of yourself. Real prayer is desire and meditation. You desire something and you go into meditation. That is you using the inner sun science. That's what they don't want you to know. That's why I have a whole teaching. I have a course. I'm a patron. And it's for people just donating $20, $20 or more dollars. You donate that and you have so much video to listen to. Because on the inner sun science and technology to create your reality consciously. That is a science that our people had known from since the dawn of time. Then they come around now. The church is saying, let your light so shine. So if there isn't that inner sun, how do I say, let your light so shine? Someone say, yeah, that is a lonely walk. It will all be a lonely walk. Even when the book of Mind Science say, talk about the narrow way, and few gonna go there. The religious people think it's them going some heaven. These delusional people think it's them. It is talking about. No, this is the narrow road it's talking about. Only few will find it. Someone said they check us, and they continue to check any people. Yeah, Ethiopia have an older version. Okay, and Ethiopia was never colonized. Okay, and there's a bloodline that run from Ethiopia to other African countries and so on. And to be honest with you, that bloodline end up right down here. Right in this country. That's why this country was the first country whereby Shakerism was known. And I know what it is all about. I'm the only man in this country that know what it's all about. And that's why for years I've been asking the spiritual Baptists, okay, what their thing is all about, and they don't know. Why they just a certain way, why they tie their hair, the head, why they wear a belt around here, and so on, they don't know. What the white man, they polluted the system, they didn't understand it up to this day, okay? And the people carry it, the system, the spiritual system through their practices, so they carry it in their body. It's in their DNA, okay? And they do these things. That's why the songs that spiritual Baptists would make and the actions and so on, no one else could do it. But all of that is a symbolic message. And so what they did, they add Jesus and Bible into it. It was never anything that had to do with religion. So you know what happened? the person who's running this country right now, whose genealogy you could chase all the way back to Europe, it gave them what they call a holiday. And the people rejoice, oh, we have a new holiday. Oh, we suffered. We were persecuted. They ask them, why were you persecuted? They can't answer. Go ask a so-called Israeli why they were persecuted, why they were killing us rich. And they can't tell you either. And then they convince melanated people all around the world to say that they're choosing. Of course, the spiritual walk is a lowly path. It's a lowly walk. Everyone who become enlightened and try to wake up black people, they always try to take them out. And then you have some stupid people talking about, oh, protect this man at all costs. What are you going to use to protect them? As I say, and I will say it again, people who are not afraid of death don't die. You can't kill a man who's not afraid of death. You could only kill a coward. How do you achieve this Christ consciousness? I didn't do anything for this. I didn't do anything for this. One thing I could tell you is that I had changed the water that I was drinking for sure. I was getting a lot of sunlight and I was willing to reject the church system after being in the church system for about like say 25 years. And I was being my real self. Okay, and I would always be a physically fit person, and I used to try to eat as healthy as I can. Those are things I can definitely tell you. Okay? Know thyself. That's the greatest message you could ever teach anyone. Know thyself. Christianity don't teach you that. Religion don't teach you that. Know thyself. They don't. Neither Christianity or Islam. None of them. How many books you read? To be honest with you, I have a lot of books. You know what I mean? And from time to time, I would read books based on how I feel led to. Okay. Right now, I have a book here. I have two books right here right now. I have this one here named Metaphysics, The Dimension of the Mind by Anthony Norvell. Okay. And I normally just read books to give me clarification of the great experience I would have had. Okay, that's all. They only bring all they do is just bring clarification to me that what I had was real and true. And then they have this one here, William Walker Atkinson, Thought Vibration, how thoughts really works and so on. All these things are just for clarification. Okay, all the books I have home, okay, is for clarification. And many of these books came by people reaching out to me and was saying that I would have read these books and I never would have known about these books, and then I started to buy them. So it's not really how much book you read, it's what experience you have. Okay, because all you need is one mystical experience, like busting your crown chakra. But I would have had many other mystical experience from a boy coming up. But when you have a major one like the virgin birth experience, that's it. And because they knew at a certain time, melanated people start to have these experiences, they set up certain people through their brotherhood and the hidden books in Vatican to talk about these things. So like, for example, there's a family, there's one family that run this country, that have one of the biggest business, which is basically the Goddard family. People like Neville Goddard, I have to do some other videos on him to have a channel where I talk about him, which I'm going to actually start now to expose him, okay? And I'll show you why they bring out all of these people, and Joseph Murphy and all of these people in the internet age and so on. So you think you get them on, you get in knowledge and so on, new knowledge, and think, no, these things was there all the time, but they were hidden and they were passed on from lip to ears and so on. And so when you start to understand reverse psychology, you start to see what they do to you and what they did to you. Learn to let go of indoctrination. That's why some people it's so hard for them to let go of the indoctrination, because they make sure that they use the book in the scripture in the book of mind science, which is the Bible say, if you train up a child in a certain way, when he become older, you have to get away from that. Someone say a lot of pastors are witches themselves. Well, to me, witches and wizards are wise people. Okay, but what I would agree with the person with is that the very thing that they're telling you not to practice is what they are practicing. They like to use the word witchcraft. Up to now, they can't give you they can't tell you what is witchcraft. They are using it. They casting all of the spells and so on. Yeah, they are the ones. You know, I can understand this person using those words to express themselves. Yeah, they are the ones. Okay. As I tell you, they are the real gangsters. Preachers and politicians are the real gangsters in the world. Jane Thomas, say hi to you. And tell us about worship according to Jesus' teaching, worship with truth and spirit. This is a tool right here. Most people fail to realize Jesus really mean I am. It's yourself. It's not no man no thousands of years ago. Okay? There's not man no thousands of years ago. If you have to believe in Jesus, well then, and worship Jesus, then worship me. Worship me. I had the virgin birth too. And there's so many stories of men, so much people in so much different cultures that they had the same story. Had the virgin birth because I bought from here. So I know what you're talking about. Somebody say I had a very spiritual experience being baptized in the that came from a power greater than I. That's bullshit baptizing. Which Holy Ghost? Ghost? A ghost? Come on, man. You see, when it comes to energy and spirit, they use different terminology. Okay, they're no Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit that is void of anyone else but religious people. No. Everyone have the spirit. Everyone have the spirit. It's just you have to activate that spirit by first of all embracing yourself and loving yourself and believing yourself. And be willing to say, fuck Jesus. False Jesus, fake Jesus, white Jesus, blonde hair Jesus, idol Jesus. That's who you're cursing. Okay, because that's the curse. You gotta curse the curse. This whole time of Jesus and going to church is a curse. You're under curse. So all of these men who talk about the Hebrew Israelites and so on, and them things, they're still under the curse. That's why they're telling you, and they're using Deuteronomy 28 and show you the curses, but they can't show you the blessing in their life. So I know it's a brainwash. While these men, Nathaniel and all of these men, the collection, it's an offering. What are you doing here? I'm doing a service. You understand? And when I do the service, I put things in place for transaction. Me asking you for tithes and offering. I use my gift. Your gift always open up doors for you. Okay, that's why Hebrews like all them things they point you back into religion. The only real salvation is self-realization. Don't make no one fool you. Trying to read on these comments and then come to a close. Okay. I don't want to go over to us. I be sharing your videos to others and they don't respond back. Don't go sharing this thing. This is not a Christian thing. This is not a church thing. Don't look for followers. So I told myself, let them stay asleep. Yeah. That is you being religious. That part of you being religious. And I could understand that. All of us just go through that. I went through it too. Well, you know, sometimes some people want to talk spirituality and I would say to them, but you're a Christian. And they wouldn't understand me. You're religious. Because if you're just talking, and you're trying to change other people, you're still religious. That's what religion does. Say I get rid of that and you start to work on yourself. And then the results will show up in your life. And the results show up in your life, people will take note. That's it. You don't need no other talking and no witnessing. That's why church people always want to bring their friends, they want to bring their family. Shit. They want to bring their friends, they want to bring their family. I don't know why African believe in Benny Hinn, because Benny Hinn know how to hypnotize the people and knock them on the ground. You understand? I remember one time I watched Benny Hinn and a woman. When Benny Hinn touched the woman fall back. Benny Hinn had a pen choking in his pocket, and the pen hook in the woman's wig and pull off the woman's wig completely, and the woman was bald as bald could be. And that freaking woman who was playing, she was falling, grabbed she wig and put she wig on she head and lie back down. Everybody laughed, including Benny Hinn. And the same thing with Benny Hinn been just be doing. I do that shit with so much of people. I used to know when they're gonna fall, because I could have sense whether you believe me or not. Big men are 6 feet plus, and I just 5 feet 5. I just take my finger and just do some and falling down. It's all have to do with what you believe. So you could believe in a stone and all. Once you impress your subconscious mind with a feeling, that's how it operates. That's what Benny Hinn and them could get you with all of these things, because people lack knowledge. People destroy for lack of knowledge. That's why I'm sharing the knowledge. Don't just get knowledge and try to change other people. People who normally want to change people and want to do this and want to do that, most of the time they're wasting their time and wasting their energy. Work on yourself first. I'm speaking from experience, because I used to do that. So Africans looking for something, that they could believe, something tangible, because they're so brainwashed. Okay? Yes, we need more creators like us that spread truth. Okay? Sometimes you have to spoon feed to let them get used to the knowledge. Yeah. That's like giving an infant a full course meal. Yeah, that's true. And they're still getting used to solid food. That's true, but I'll be honest with you, right? I know what works for me and what don't work for me. Okay, sometimes I used to do some things and I used to ask myself how I could get away with it, but I realized what works for me. When I be radical and I use tough love, it works for me. It don't work with other people, and I wouldn't recommend other people. I wouldn't, but I work with me. You understand? So I know what works with me, okay? That's why, because I've never been a person to compromise and try to get people to love me. And no, I'd be myself, be real. So I always be happy because I'd be myself. People, this person say Jesus saves. Don't disagree with that person. Because if they're working for them, why would you disagree with the person? Okay? Save you from what? I know you couldn't save my brothers from masturbation while they was going to church and they had guilt and shame and judgment on themselves. I know that. I know he couldn't save them from the inoculation 2020, 2022. I know he never saved them from the banks and the credit unions and being debts and yokes all around their neck and so on. But I know what saved me from those things. I know when things used to come in the night and harvest my energy. Okay, I know Jesus couldn't save me. I know what the fuck I did. That's why anybody attack me back in the spiritual realm, I know what to do. So you could talk about your Jesus, what your Jesus do. Okay, when you call on Jesus in the spirit realm, when you get in squeeze and thing, harvesting your energy, the thing will go away, but it will come back. If Jesus been a chase it away, we never come back. But when I use what I use, and when I do what I do, come again. Because every time you come out, damage you. Somebody say pure metaphysics. Nah, this is beyond metaphysics. You understand? If let me tell you something. There are a lot of people like in my country and so on, and I know they belong to fraternity and brotherhood and secret society and so on, right? And they may have knowledge in metaphysics and so on, but I'm telling you, when you never join none of these things, you never join Illuminati, you never do none of that, and you come into certain realm, you're a mystic. A mystic is at a higher level than a metaphysician. Because it could be taught, metaphysical, these things, it could be taught to you. That's why I'm telling you, when I read these things, they give me a confirmation how high I went. When people talk about 33rd degree, you have a 33rd degree, if you could go 360 degree, if you go 360 degree, you will see a circle. That eternity you're talking about, look, yo, talk about pure metaphysics. I hate when people try to come with knowledge and intellect and think, that's killing people. One of the first thing that was said to me from the inner intelligence is to warn black people about parrotism. You know what is parrotism? I remember when I was working in the post office, I call a co-worker of mine, a parrot. And he was shocked. He said, you call me a parrot? He was shocked. He said, you love to talk so much? Because I'm a very interactive person. Me say, when I call you a parrot, you know, I say a parrot is not a person who does talk plenty, you know. I say a parrot is someone who will repeat everything you hear other people say. That's a parrot. Then when you really understand. And that was one thing I was warned about. To warn our people, stay away from parrotism. Someone say, how are you? Different pastor. You see a pastor say, fuck Jesus and those kind of things? Huh? You say a pastor interpret the Bible to point you to look within yourself and to show you that the Bible is a book of mind science. I remember I asked a pastor if I could come in his church and say, fuck the devil. If the devil is so bad, if I could come and say that and he walk away from me. I remember a Christian woman walk out of a church, see me walking along and try to invite me in. And when I tell her the truth, she walk away from me because why she can't deal with the truth. What was the truth I told her? I said, if I have to come to the church, I'm coming there to look for scared women. Nothing else. She walk away because she can't know the truth. So I telling you, when people talking about pastor and all of this kind of thing, do you know how gullible church woman is? Do you know church woman is the easiest woman to fool? I want to continue much on that. Wow, and they really do that too. Illusion. Greetings. Hi to you, King Style. Thank you for recognizing the deepness of this teaching. This is going to go over some people's head. Some people think, well, oh, women who go in church, oh, they're moral and they this and that. No, they have to. She have to go in all the same sex position. Just mean that she going in the sex position in deception. Because they don't want you to have sexual liberation. Understand that? Pastors don't teach these things. Come on. What do I read to help myself learn this wisdom? Well, you could get some of my books, okay, to help you. And you could, even the Bible, okay, I reconstruct a Bible and I remove Jesus and I leave a blank space for you to write your name. Your name is I Am. And I dedicate that book to Abdullah Neville Gaddad. And I did it. I did it intentionally because, as I tell you, soon I'll be exposing Neville Gaddad. Because these families and the aristocracy that they would have held for many, many years, it start to fall. In this age, the internet age. You think when Cat Williams say that all lies would be known in 2025, that was a joke, that was a joke? All the lies from 2025 go right up to all up to 2033, because it's awakening time. Many people gonna wake up. Just now you want to see any content. You see all of these so-called Christian influencers who hiding, the bitches hiding. West Off who try to debate Billy Carson and so on and all that. Somebody reach out to him now, tell him about me. But them come debate me. Tell me the Bible and the mind science. All these Christian influencers who talking about this demonic and that demonic. Up to now they can't say money demonic. They will never say so. All these Christian influencers just now they coming off of YouTube. Are they going to change? They're going to rebrand. Because it wouldn't have no effect. People waking up. You see all them television and television people used to be on television, so they have to come on the internet now, you know. Just now, TD Jakes, Joel Oystein and them will have to tell the people, well, we've been teaching you all the time. I want you to read between the lines. I was telling you that Jesus ain't real. That was preaching a prosperity message to really deal with your mind, but I couldn't come out and tell you because it go shut me down. And I was in a lot of debts and so on. Like how they shut down Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson tried to tell a church at 6,000 the truth, and they shut him down. He lose everything. Creflo try his best to tell them the truth. I do a video where I say Creflo make tears come from my eye, because when he do imagination for manifestation, I saw a man Creflo did. I watch it and I see it since I'm becoming enlightened and aware. And I share people, I say, look at that, the man, I try to tell them. What the man have private jet, he had this and that, he can't come out and tell them just so. You know how much balls and backbone it take for come out to tell people, yo, for all them years. People used to ask me about Ray Hagen. If I know about Ray Hagen, I didn't know about him, and then I go and research and see Ray Hagen. You know what balls Ray Hagen had to take for come out and realize how he been brainwashed and deceived? Oh my. Yourself and time in nature. Yeah. Most people don't spend time in silence and in nature, man. People don't get connected. Spending time with yourself is hard. The end result will be rewarding. Of course it's hard. Since I was a boy, I used to spend time with myself. You know, something just happened the other day. Since I was a boy growing up, they had that black woman on Alive, Kevin Samuels. Yeah. I mean, I pick up in my spirit. Kevin Samuels, even Miles Monroe too. I did a video long time ago. Miles Monroe. Because they couldn't come out and tell the people the truth. People in Bahamas is a tourist country, you know. They heavily invested in those countries. You can't afford wake up people in Bahamas and these places that I'm so religious and thing. The hotel industry, thing people. The Caribbean and all the places, the hotel industry. They call it hospitality. Woo! This is heaven right here. Them waiting for go heaven. The heaven right here. When you're in purpose, will you do a talk on the US dollar meanings? I think I know enough talk and we did already. And we need to know. There's nothing more important than the eye above the pyramid. That's why many people used to reach out, ask me if I belong to some society and all of that. Back in the days when I go back on some of my old videos when I saw do the sign. So I never see no one do that sign before I do that. After I see other people do that, they have big YouTuber, millions of followers. See, put my thumbnail and all of that. And they used to listen to me. Some of them bigger YouTubers, they listen and they never give you no compliment. They never give you none of that. And they're taking your content too. But nothing wrong with that. I am. Yeah. I like how the person just put the I and the am. Yeah. I could go into the arm too, but I have some stuff at my university, okay, free will. Yeah, they had a group of black women, and I like Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi was one who they set up too. Man could have cure AIDS, could have do all of that and so on. You know what I mean? Remember, when it comes to like the hospitality industry, the medical industry, and so on, the bombs and guns industry, all of these different industries and things, and all of these things where stocks and bonds and all these things, man, they will kill you, they take you out. If you want to develop like a vehicle that you have to use all of this gasoline and all of this fuel in it, yo, they take you out. They take the book literally. Yeah, they take the Bible literally. Don't teach people. The Christ consciousness is what they don't want you to discover. Inventions came from black men and women. Many inventions, but they hide it. Peace and light. Bless up to you, Adrian. Nature is our greatest balance, of course, and our teacher too. Is it true blacks, the real Israelites? Yeah. Ancestral and L. But not the way how these people on the streets carrying on and so on. It's not like that. When you become a true Israelite, you come to know that your real identity is your divinity. You come back to remembrance. And you see, you can't come back without the priesthood. And without could speak the language. That's why it's hidden in the Bible when they say when the fake ones used to come, they used to tell and say shibboleth. Then they couldn't say the word shibboleth, they teach you a language, a secret language. They can't, these guys on the street who say my Hebrew is like, There's nobody language of symbology. Leave them alone. They have to do their part. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, one time when I used to talk plenty of things in the city, and I used to just try to talk to people and so on. One of them who tried to be a leader, okay? Because when I used to see these guys in America on the street, I know it will come in because I know people travel go America and I know they go infiltrate somebody and they go come down here. I know that, but I used to see Bobby Hemmett and I hear Bobby Hemmett speak because when I get my awakening, you know, I found Bobby Hemmett, okay, and I listened to Bobby Hemmett and he make a lot of sense to me, okay, and so I knew they was coming, okay, so this guy stopped and he listened to me, and so and then he, just to ask me one question, if I don't believe that all black people. Is he really like the answer I gave me didn't like it? I said no. But no, I was doing. Okay. You see, if you are asleep and I awake, there's a big difference. And if I bake a cake and your name all over the cake, but you doesn't accept the cake, it make a big difference there too. Okay. So you have to know whether you're the chosen or not. Okay. The nearest of them in affection to the Muslim are those who say we are Christians. That's because among them are priests and monks, and because they are not arrogant. Quran, the Quran and the Bible is not no different. Okay, and both the Quran and the Bible are esoteric and exoteric teachings. Okay, as I said already, all religion when you really understand what they really are about, okay, it is taken into one place, which is basically self-realization. Basically that. It's all mental, it's all psychological. The men who are up there, they know they know more than that. Okay? Like for example, the supreme leader, Iran and all those people, they know what the Quran and all of these things are about. They know. Okay, they know. They are on a higher level, they are on a different level. Okay. Somebody talk about Qigong and so on. You know, there's only one set of people on this planet who do not have a spiritual system. Okay, and they're thieves and robbers and liars. Okay, that's why they create a nation. 1948. They don't have a true spiritual system, and they try to share it with Ethiopia and say, oh, you have a special set of people in Ethiopia. Hey, nah. That's why the spiritual science exists throughout all of the islands of the Caribbean. I can show you it. The slave masters could have only polluted with bringing in the Jesus and the white idol. That's all they could do. Just like, for example, the Sanders Hotel I was talking about, which I wrote the book, Bukumembe Resort and the Messenger. Bukumembe had black sand. The sand on the beach was black. You know what they did? They transport white sand. They transport white sand and bring white sand and put the white sand over the black sand. That's a ritual they do right in Kenya. People don't know. Even when I sit in here in this beautiful garden, when the soccer royal from England come and do a ritual here with cheese. So they plant in the tree. And then they children and them. You brainwash children, school children and them, waving flag and doing that. So say royal. Everything's stolen. Even that. Me not afraid of after saying those things. I know the truth. That's why I was a free man. I die a free man. Not a slave. So, yeah, they take the white sand and put it on the black sand. And you know the blind politician will tell you, oh, the tourists like white sand beaches. So why you can't appreciate the soil that all food of the earth comes from that look like you, bro? Beat your chest with that. Be proud of that. I could never feel proud of a black man calling on Jesus. I wouldn't have no respect for you, bro. I tell you the truth. When I like it, I don't like it. I might say nothing, I will just leave you. But the day you mess with me and play, come and talk to me, I could tell me about anything about Jesus. I put you in a place. Go there, go, love from Nigeria. Greetings to you, my brother from Nigeria. I'm wishing for the day when all Nigerians will wake up or be creating supplement, not steroid. Your body create manufacture creatine. Okay, if you eat a lot of fish and so on, you get more creatine from fishes and so on too. Okay, so that is not really a steroid. Steroid is anything that is synthetic and artificial. Okay, that your body doesn't produce naturally, and if you put that synthetic thing, it will shut down what your body produces naturally. Okay, like I mentioned, testosterone. Anything that will shut down your natural testosterone production and so on because of a synthetic one, and so yeah, that was steroid. You look nice. Someone said that. Thanks, James Clark, and some. I don't know what he's talking about anyway. Some people say they can't follow most of the time. Some people say they love the accent. This is just the way how we speak. Some people think it's Jamaican, but it's not Jamaican. We are about 4.5 hours by plane from Jamaica. Okay. As a matter of fact, all the Caribbean islands are close to each other, yet they're so separated. And the flights to travel to those countries is so high. Okay, BlackMadGuru and other fathers being enjoy. Okay, yeah, I'm working towards getting to a close to, but I just wanna try and read as much comment. Where do you get the books? My books are all available on Amazon. Are you familiar with Dr. Delbert? Dr. Delbert Blair. Yes, man. Yes, man. He was a man that I was really connected with, and I could identify what he's talking about. And one time I used to all the time be playing back something where he was talking about, where he's saying he was starting to get the experience from his head and so on. So I started and play back that. Nobody else about Blair. He talked about time when he made two strange men. I had an experience like that too. One time I made two strange men at night. I was thinking about something. I made two strange men. Never seen them before in my life in the country. Never see them. No one else was there. It was me alone. These two strange men. And they are just the way how I was thinking about dressing with a certain wrap around my head and so on and all of that. They were dressed in those clothes and so on. Two young men. Are you familiar? Yeah. Where do you live? American. I'm living in the Americas. Okay. What they call the Caribbean and so on, basically like the Americans. The Americans. It's really the Americas, and as a matter of fact, some of the most mystical and most spiritual people from Africa came down this side, and because they were so powerful, they separated them and they take many of them into America and all of these places. So when you see black people in America who like to talk about African Americans, and they like to think as if they believe that they're different to people down in the islands, and they see we're small islands and this and that, you're tricking yourself. That's why you had the Marcus Garveys, you have the Maroons of Jamaica and so on. You have those from Haiti and so on. Yeah. And that's why they make sure they continue to keep the Caribbean islands colonized. Because most of the time the Christ consciousness, when they rise up in a great way, just be in a colony. You read the same story they tell about in the Bible about the fake blue eye pale guy they show you. You mentioned in a video about they didn't want us to know about sleeping. Is this more powerful than conscious meditation? All of them is doing the same, basically, effect. Okay, because once you find yourself in a hypnotic state, the draw, the sleepy state put you in a hypnotic state, meditation put you in a hypnotic state, you basically changing dimension. You're coming out of this three-dimensional world, and you're going into, you come out the 3D, you're going the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, you go right up to 9. No toxic, he keeps it real. Peace and love. I always keep it real. Someone said they just party. Says I was always alone and love it. Yeah, being alone is great, man. I got a job application for you. What's the job application? What's your name, buddy? Within God I trust. Yeah, the God within you must always trust. Within. People get mad when you offer them a job application, but they're happy as hell when you donate a dollar. As I always say, you have to have employer and employee is what you want. As I say, somebody have to sweep the street, but it don't have to be you. Somebody have to clean the toilet, but it doesn't have to be you. It's what job you want. When you find your purpose, that's your job. When you find your calling, that's it. But you do it with happiness and joy and peace. When I speak about people and job and so on, people going to jobs that they don't love. I'm talking about. People normally sometimes don't get the real thing when you're talking about it. Okay? And people donating to you are people giving to you, right? If they do without that proper understanding, they will make a statement like this person who made this statement here. Because you will realize that money must be circulated. You have to understand. For example, okay, when I go to the grocery, I fold my money a certain way, pointing back to me. It's supposed to be circulating. You are investing. So I here using my time, using my energy. My energy is money. It's currency. So if you acknowledge that, you don't make comment like that. Period. Okay? Because if the work you're doing is what you love, nobody have no problem with that. And you shouldn't have a problem with people doing videos talking about these things. Okay? Because, for example, there's so many Caucasian people talking these same things. And nobody don't even want to ask them anything. Sometimes someone asked me already, are you financially rich or something like that? Wealthy and so on. They don't ask them that. Because mindset. And they don't know what it means to be wealthy either. You hear a man speaking like this, a man being so happy, you ask him a question like that. But when you're in your purpose, you're the richest man. They tell you Elon Musk and this and that. They're checking you. When you're in your purpose, you're the richest man. Are the richest man once you're in your purpose? You don't worry, you don't fret, everything coming your way. You living in your abundance frequency. You don't have to have a Lamborghini to be happy. You don't have to have a Rolls Royce to be happy. They came with the Bible and their religion stolen and so on. Okay. For for being saved, Chief Pontiac. 1769. I have to look up Chief Pontiac. Somebody say, okay. Africa, Al-Kibolan are finally waking up. You help me on my spiritual path. It's a pleasure to always help my brother and my sisters. It's also a pleasure to see people in Africa waking up. I definitely want Africa to wake up in a mass way. It must be a mass awakening that these preachers must have to flee Africa. Chris Agrioli and all of these other preachers. Can I bring some of the name right now? Do you have any videos teaching about the esoteric meaning of the Bible? Yeah. It's basic in a belief, life eternal. That's what Bible really means, B-I-B-L-E. But they tell you basic instruction before leaving earth. I could explain to you why they say that and how they hide it. And then when I show you basic in a belief, life eternal, and show you the same thing. I'll show you where they hide and why they hide it that way they. Okay. So yeah. That's why I tell you I remove Jesus out of the Bible and I put the Bible together. I call it 66 books of magic. The Overcomer's Bible. One love from Trinidad and Tobago. It's a joy and a pleasure also to have people from Trinidad and Tobago reaching out. You were very above me when I first heard you. I thought you were a madman. Yeah, most people thought so. Okay, I'm mad. That's why I give my name BlackMadGuru. Okay, you see, you have to call yourself crazy before the system call you crazy, because that's one thing they do. They brand you as a crazy man. So you have to call yourself crazy first. Even the story, when they give you the blonde hair blue boy to tell you, read the story, you will see, tell you, they say crazy. They say you had a demon. Okay, it's you they're talking about. There's nothing in the past. Time is just an illusion. Hello from Jamaica. Greetings, my Jamaican brother. Okay. I remember going to Jamaica back in, I think about 1997. I went to, I was staying at Old Harbor Road, and I used to visit Spanish Town because I was close to Spanish Town, and I went to another town named, gosh, what that town name on the hill? Trying to remember the name of that town. Okay, you are a brilliant man. Thank you very much. Okay, Mandeville. Yeah, Mandeville was the name of that town. Yeah, I went to Mandeville already too. Okay, good teacher. Thank you very much. You are correct. Many who have luxuries are not happy. No, you can't look to I have a book called Your Mood is Your Fortune. Don't ever look for fortune to get your mood. You know what? You know what I normally do when I'm on the road driving? my girls just have a fun with me when I'm on the road. When I'm on the road and I heard a guy with loud music, I say, he living in dreams, you know. He used to be dreaming and imagine, boy, if I get a big ride, I'm putting on a big box. And so I now want to say, you know, when you was a little child and you're growing up and you eat ice cream and lollipop, you say, oh, when I get big and I'm making money and work with plenty money, a host of lollipop. That's because you live in a childhood, you stayed still. You're some big man still. So they want noticing and things. So they have this big boom box in the vehicle. And then you really just want to write up, but Jesus do this and that and arc and scripture in the vehicle. Me, nah, quiet in my car, man. I drive it quiet, peace and quiet. You understand? So people are living out, they are express what is going on inside and they don't know because they're naked and they don't know it. They're blind, naked, wretched, and they don't know it. Everybody naked. So me, you know, who fooling these religious people would make them think they're righteous. So in a luxury, man. Right now, me talking to you, this is luxury. Me is hungry. Me hungry? We Africans, not because we were born in Africa. No. But because Africa born in us. Of course, I did a video now about telling Africa is within. Stop thinking geography. I see. Oh, yeah, because in that video I was telling you when Marcus Garvey talked about going back to Africa, most people thinking it was just to take up and go. No. And when you understand first the real Africa within, why you think Africa has so much a wealth is to reflect the wealth that is in melanated people, but they ain't getting it. And when you get the wealth that is reflected inside of you, then you could go to Africa and start to build Africa too. You go in there as a businessman or a businesswoman to put on 2, 3, 4 businesses. Then you realize sometime too, you're trying to provide for help your own people. And they want to act anyhow on your job, do anything. I have my experience too when I employ people with it, how they just behave. But you have to understand, you know, the mindset. Love and light, brother, you are speaking from your soul. Of course. Thank you very much, Tanisha. How old is your baby girl now? Oh, she's 2 years plus. She's gonna be 3 very soon. I wish melanated could wise and rise up. Okay, melanated people, yeah. I wish so too. Babylon market things we don't need and make people tied to happiness. Yeah. Not everyone need a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce. Yeah. I remember someone asked me what is the color of my Lambo. I'm like, it's like, bro, down in the Caribbean, you study them things with Lambo, you go to America with all of these flat roads and things, you could go in the Lambo. You understand? And you could chase scouts too. Okay. And you pick up some venereal disease too. Greeting from St. Lucia, thank you. Thank you, my St. Lucian brother. You know, this is how I feel happy when people from St. Lucia and Grenada, Antigua, I just wish to see people from those islands. Giving thanks, I'll purchase your book. Peace. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. Be in anger in your sin, but don't let the sun go down in your wrath. Sin is ignorance. Okay. And nothing wrong with anger. Express yourself. Nothing wrong with if a person be angry with the white Jesus idol and angry with the church so that they were shit and the shitty teachings and doctrine have been passed down. Nothing wrong with that. They'll be angry, okay, about those things, but don't basically saying here if you ever listen to a video on a bedtime secret that the church don't want you to know, right? Because remember, when you go into bed, okay, the way how you go to bed and how you awake is basically how it's shaping your entire life. So people who just quote these kind of scriptures, they don't never understand it. They will never go on their knees and pray to no Jesus and go fall asleep. And our parents been doing that too since we were little children. Okay? Yes, I love how this person mentioned and forgive yourself. That one the first thing I had to do when I had my awakening. I had to forgive myself and I had to go and find people and forgive them. I wasn't studying who was wrong or right. I remember when I used to work by the Ministry of Sports, there's a guy who had course he had nothing to do with me, period, unless it had to do with the work. I went back and I spoke with him and thing. You know, I tell him, you know, forgot about what happened with me and so on and all of that. You believe in reincarnation? Of course, I believe in reincarnation. What's your take on it? We do. Yes. Do we come back? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't many remember? Yeah. Some people definitely have to come back. All these religious people, they keep recycling them all the time. They definitely have to come back. Okay, but that would be a long subject. Okay. Are you melanated? Of course, I'm melanated. I don't know if it's me that person was speaking today. Okay. Yeah, but I believe in reincarnation 100%. I remember you used to teach and I could hear the sweet baby voice of God. Yeah, the baby's still around. She's right here, you know. So I'm getting ready. To go now. It's 2.5 hours and I really want to thank you all very much for supporting this work. And let us get this channel to our first 25,000. Okay. Then from 25, then we will go to 30. And then we go to 40 and 50 and go up to the 100,000. And from there, we're going to 1 million. Okay, we want to reach as much people as possible all around the world. And I want you, okay, to join your energy with me. Okay, and let us do it together because united we stand, but divided we will fall. Remain being spiritual and horny. Do not be religious and impotent. Control your mind. Because if you don't, others will control your mind for you. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I'll definitely see you on another live. And I would encourage you also to turn on your notification for those videos that I'll be posting in the coming week here. Okay, I have a lot to share with you. I'm getting a lot of downloads and I want to share them with you. This is your time for your great awakening. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I just want to say peace. Love you all. Out.